Welcome, everybody, to the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast, where we explore the exciting world of artificial intelligence and its impact on marketing. Every week, we feature in-depth conversations with industry leaders, technology experts, and marketing professionals. Our guests share their insights and experiences on how AI is transforming marketing and providing businesses with a competitive edge, keeping you up to date on the latest trends and best practices in AI-powered marketing. Now, whether you're new to the world of AI or an experienced professional, the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast is the perfect place to learn about the latest advancements and how they can be applied to your business. Join us each week and let's explore the intersection of AI and marketing together. My name is Matthew Maniak. I'm your co-host here with Tony Aponte, the host of the Artificially Smart Marketing Podcast. Long time no see, Tony.
Yes, sir. How are we doing, Matthew?
Doing good, doing good. And for those of you out there that were wondering, yes, that intro was created by Chat GPT.
Sir.
To prove the point that AI is, in fact, impacting marketing.
Yes, sir.
So for today's podcast, we want to kind of give our viewers and our listeners here a little bit of insight into some of the tools that they can use as far as AI and leveraging that in their marketing. So, I mean, obviously, we're in an emerging market that is populating with thousands and thousands of new tools every single day. I mean, it's kind of like the whole .com bubble. It's right. So it's like only a matter of time until we start seeing which ones are actually going to make it through the storm clouds and last.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I don't know, but every time I get up and I either log into YouTube or Facebook in some of the groups I'm in, it's like seems like there's like 5 new tools that just got launched. It's ridiculous.
Only 5? Because for me,
Only
it's
only 5 within the little circle that I get in. I'm sure that's like 10x.
I was gonna say like every time I go on, it's like I see like probably about 10 new ones, and I'm sure that there's obviously a lot more, but it's like you can only see so many in a given day. Um, but I mean, just with so much out there, it's like there again, it's analysis paralysis, and which one do I choose? Which one is going to work best for me? And so on today's episode, we're going to kind of talk about a little bit on the ones that we use in our day to day, kind of walk you through a little bit of some of the options that are out there. Not going too deep on them, but just enough to kind of whet your appetite and obviously kind of give you that overview so that you can kind of take that and check them out for yourself and see what they can do for you. So for Tony, I know kind of with your background and with all the work that you do in digital marketing, like content SEO is huge a part of that process and that strategy. So tell me a little bit about on some of the ones that you've used and that you like to help with that creation of content.
Yeah. So, man, I tell you, there's quite a few actually out there that are really good. But I've personally been using I was using Content at Scale, which is a blogging, article creation tool where you can basically when you go in there, you type in your keyword, you're able to kind of fill in some description as far as who your audience is, and once you insert all that information, it literally goes and creates you articles based around that, and it's a very well formatted articles to the point where you go through and optimize it for readership, because again with AI, we're not you really don't want to create an article and then just post it up as is. You want to add your voice to it, so that way whoever it is that's reading your article is going to get the most value from it. There's another tool that I use that's similar to it, is Zimmwriter, which this tool is really good. Again, it does the same thing in respects to you type in, you give it the titles, the H tags for any of those SEO guys out there that know what that is, your headings for different topics, subtopics for that article, your keywords, and it spits out the article, and really long articles. It's great for creating long content and also short content. And the tool is actually a bit more in depth as to what it gives you versus Content at Scale. and it gives you a lot of there's a lot of stuff that it gives you that it really helps provide a really good blog post. And the one thing that I want to mention in respects to both of these, the beauty about these tools is that you can actually within the settings set the tone, set the type of style of writing that you want. And this is great because you can play with different types of styles of writers out there, and it makes the article kind of spit out different content where it's geared towards specific audiences. And then there's Jasper. Jasper's been is the one that's been out the longest. It used to be Jarvis. Jasper is actually really good. The beauty about Jasper, because it is one of the first ones that was launched, there's a lot of different levels within the platform itself that will take and create content that's a lot more specific to your needs. So, and they're all have different price points, and so depending on what your budget allows, there one of those three is going to fit for what you need, and either one is going to give you exactly what you need in respects to the type of content that you want to create.
So now, kind of a question that goes on there is for those out there that say, why use those over Chat GPT? I can use Chat GPT for free. I mean, what would you say to that kind of a question? Have you been asked that question before?
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. And you know what? And I get it. And so for me to answer that, I'm going to the simple answer is yes. You can use Chat GPT 3.5 or 4.0. It depends on what version you're using. Obviously, GPT-4 is better right now. It does take a little bit longer to spit out content, but it is way better. The one thing that you want to be careful whenever you're using ChatGPT, and here's again, this goes back to some of our previous videos or podcasts where we're talking about some of the prompting. Can you get what you want out of ChatGPT? Yes, you can, but that's where in order for you to really get the quality content that you are looking for, it's going to narrow down right down to your prompting. The beauty about using some of these other tools is that these are tools that are created specifically for content creation, for creating articles, right? So the developers have taken, and these are all, built off the API of ChatGPT, and the ability to be able to create this content through using the platform of ChatGPT. However, the software is built at another level where, again, it takes and improves on the type of output that you get, instead of sitting there and trying to figure out what prompt you need to use to be able to really get an article that you can use for your website, for any kind of content creation. And that goes for social media content, all that stuff.
No, definitely, and obviously we know that, but that's just for the viewers out there that
For sure.
it is a real question on,
It
like,
is.
is it better? But just like you said, it all comes down to how you can prompt it, and can you prompt it to give it for it to give you what you want to get out of it. And no, so definitely some good options there.
So, and also I just want to throw something in too, as that's actually now I use what I've found that works really well is, and I'll use let's just use Zimmwriter as an example, is I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll throw in, the prompts to create the outline for the blog post. Okay. And, there's different things that you can do in respects to asking it to create the topics based around keywords that you want, so that way you have a keyword optimized blog post. But so what I do is I'll create the outline for my blog post, but then I'll take that outline and then I'll open up Zimmwriter, and then I can put in the title, and then you have areas where you can type in the subheadings so that you want to include, and then I insert the keywords, and then ChatGPT, Zimmwriter, excuse me, the output is the article based around that outline. So it's like a 1-2 punch deal that I use for that.
Nice. I was gonna say like when you're trying to rank higher for like with SEO and things like that, having that kind of a structure, having that kind of tool that's more robust and geared towards the results that you need, definitely would make more sense to apply.
Yep.
Um, Now, I mean, beyond SEO, there's so many tools out there, and some of the ones that I find that I use a lot are geared more towards like the creative, like the visual, the graphics, the videos, things like that. Because that's what I'm doing on the daily basis is graphic design, video post production, things like that. So, I mean, Midjourney. I mean, we talked about this one before, the text to image generator that you can use and input prompts and output images like our background here. Um, and also to some extent our logo, right?
Right.
Yep. So I mean, coming to that, right? There's a lot of opportunity there in finding new ways to outfit yourself with graphics and with visual creatives to enhance your social media, to enhance your ad creatives and things like that. I mean, how are you using Midjourney? I mean, besides for like what applications for Midjourney are you seeing and are you using it for?
Oh yeah, sure. You know, again, with content creation, it all goes back once for let's just use blog posts as an example. You know, you write an article, you upload it to your website, and you need to put a featured image. I literally use Midjourney specifically to create all of my featured images on all the articles that I create for clients. What I think is awesome about that is that I can actually ask Midjourney based on certain branding aspects of that client and create the images to kind of reflect the brand, which is really cool because now it's unique to the company that you're working with. And Not only that, but also use it for social media. You know, when you start creating content based around your articles or whatever it is, your services that the business is offering, I use Chat GPT to create all of my social media images. That's basically what I use it for newsletters. It just I think one thing that I've found that's awesome is that it's given me the ability to create imagery that's specific to my clients' brands and it's unique to them, where it's unique to everybody else, right? And that's the whole idea behind, when it comes to branding, you want your brand to stand apart from your competition. And so I think that's like really one of the cool areas that I've actually been able to really enjoy in respects to that part.
No, definitely. And for the filmmakers that might be out there listening to this, I actually have used Midjourney for the purposes of like storyboarding and concept art for some projects of mine to kind of help communicate the overall vision of a scene to not only like to the team, to any other producers that I might be working with. And so it's saved a lot of time in that regard because before what I would do is I would look at like other films, other stuff out there, and kind of pull little, say, sample frame grabs from those to kind of help communicate the look, the feel, the style that I was going for. Now I can go into Midjourney and be like, hey, like type in the scene, and it'll create an output, a visual that is representative of the scene, and then I can kind of tweak the prompt, get it to where I want it to be, and then use that as like a proof of concept element in, say, a pitch deck or something to help visually communicate the vision of the project. So it's like it's insane what you can do with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I was messing around with it the other day, and I gave it the prompt of like the log line for the Born Identity to see if it could create a movie poster based on the log line.
nice.
And I mean, obviously Midjourney, as you and I know, Tony, still needs a little bit of work when it comes to text, but from what it output, I mean, it needed some work. It's getting there, but
Yeah,
like kind of prompting it with the log line with kind of the summary of the film, create a poster out of this can potentially save a lot of time when coming up with those key art assets, at least on the front end. And I mean, eventually, I would imagine that you start to say, hey, I need an action film, spy movie, set in like the late '90s, starring Matt Damon.
right.
Then it can create something like the Born Identity poster. I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah,
Maybe that's in Midjourney V6 or V7, but we will see.
yeah, I'm hearing that the next version is going to be insane. So
I mean, this version was insane, and the version before that was insane, and so it's
yeah,
just continuing down that
it's
path.
the evolution is just ridiculous. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah,
Now,
and
Matthew, let me ask you a question because I know that you, because of the creatives that you're dealing with, and I know I have not started messing around at all with Leonardo, but what I mean, I know that you've messed around with it. What are you seeing as far as like some of the differences that are the key differences between Leonardo and Midjourney?
so Leonardo.ai is another tool out there for those of you that don't know. It's another text to image generator, text to image AI, and I'm actually seeing. I mean, the one of the main differences that I see is kind of the art style, right? So when you output from Midjourney, it's going to be I mean, obviously you can influence the output art style, but it's a little more live action, a little more cinematic, quote unquote, oriented from what I've been seeing, versus Leo, which tends to be more geared towards like game design, game art, and things of that nature. You can create textures, you can create patterns and things like that. Like one of the things that I really like about Leo over Midjourney is the compatibility of its patterns, right? So like when you're in Midjourney, you can say, "Hey, I want a tiling background," but it may not be very like it may not be fully tileable. Versus when you're working in Leo, you can then do the tiling checkbox that it has, and it optimizes it for that tiling process, which is great when you're using it for things like e-commerce product designs. Like I was seeing one YouTuber, I forget the name, but I'd seen him apply a Leonardo output pattern to like swim trunks and sneakers and things like that. So
Nice.
and it was a much cleaner design than if you're doing something that's like over from Midjourney for that specific purpose. I've also, I believe, don't quote me on this, but the scalability. Whenever I'm doing something like that, I always take it through Topaz Labs Gigapixel to expand it because when it outputs from either Leonardo or Midjourney, the pixel dimensions aren't always the best. I do find that there's a higher kind of pixel density look to it when I'm outputting uh, from Leonardo, in the sense that one of the product lines that I want to do involves uh, like people and kind of looking at say models hypothetically here, right? And so looking at the skin when you output uh, from Midjourney, you can see the pixels a little bit easier versus when you output from um, Leo using their creative upscale feature, it smoothens out the skin textures a little bit. Although I will say the Midjourney can look a little more like textured as realistic, but again, the pixel density is a little bit lower from what I've seen. Like I can visually see that it's pixelated. So for different purposes, they both make sense in different applications. Like I find that Midjourney is a little bit stronger when you're looking for like logo concepts and things like that. But if you're going for just kind of conceptual stuff and patterns, then Leonardo might make more sense for that kind of application.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So, now whenever we talk about creatives, obviously there's video. I mean, video's hot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what do you? Because I know that that's your thing. Where do you think? What are you using, and how are you using it?
So I mean, for one, there's Descript, which has been around for a little bit, I think. But basically, with that, it's geared for text-based editing to some extent, right? So it's like if you're, as an example, you populate it in a video, you can get the transcript, and if you're trying to remove certain aspects, you can remove them from the transcript and thus remove them from the um, like the visual, so to speak. So like if you said something that you didn't want to say in a podcast, then you could say take the transcript, cut that out through the dialogue or through the transcript, and then it'll cut that out of the actual visual. I know one other feature that Descript uses. I don't use this in a lot of cases just because of the ethical elements of it. Is the uh, text to voice that it can do, where if you send it an extended like recording of you speaking and whatever, then it can uh, kind of unlock this feature where you can type in things that you never said and then have it generate audio um, to your voice, and with a pretty close resemblance. With obviously the more that you give it, the better that the AI can create. But I mean, again, there's a lot of ethical questions and ethical concerns around that. So I don't really use that for anything but my own stuff as of right now. And even then, it's only in like a testing phase. I have not publicly rolled out anything using that feature. But in the future, uh, I mean, if the client gives you the okay and off and approves the final deliveries, then it can potentially be a big time save.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, you that's the key point, right? You want to make sure that you get permission from your client to use
Yes, yes.
certain assets like that, because again, you know, like we mentioned this in the last podcast, how you know AI is a great tool, but it can also be used for the bad. So we always want to make sure that we stay ethical in what we do.
Yep. And again, it's things that our viewers also need to be aware of, that this is out there now, and that people may take stuff that you've put out on YouTube and
Yeah,
then use that for whatever. But
yeah,
it's like the whole deepfake thing that started a few years ago, right? It's only getting more realistic, which on is kind of concerning in that regard. But it does beg the ethical question. It does beg uh the concept of being aware of what is out there, and making sure that you cover yourself as best you can
yeah.
for those kinds of things. But that, we'll probably dive into that on another episode.
And you know what?
But
And I know that our audience, you know, our audience, they're ethical people, so it's not something that we have to worry about.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so,
But I mean, kind of to a similar aspect, right? Is Synthesia, and I'm sure Tony, you might have used this in some of the stuff that you've been doing. But basically, what Synthesia is it's an AI based avatar, right? So you can give it images of you and then combine that with, say, a Descript, and then suddenly you can do text to video and have a AI generated avatar of you speak using an AI generated voice of you for the purposes of marketing material, training videos, and things like that. And again, there's the pro of it, where it can save you a lot of time, especially if you're wanting to take like a textbook's worth of information and put that into a training video format without, say, putting together an actual video and walking people through step by step visually. Um, but on the flip side, right, it's that same aspect of being aware that someday soon we may have AIs that are saying things that look like us and sound like us, but they're not us. Um, but again, for the purposes of this podcast, talking about the marketing, right, is we can use these tools to create content for things like Reels, and just like you said, with like these newsletters, these content pages that we're creating, we can have these AI generated avatars speaking on the topics, speaking on the points. We've all seen the faceless YouTube videos out there, faceless YouTube channels. This can make the content production for those types of channels that much easier, and potentially even that much more engaging once the technology evolves a little bit more. Because right now, their lip sync is a little off, if you ask me.
yeah,
Um, so there's a lot of tools out there, and it's just a matter, again, like we said, finding the ones that are gonna work for you and work in the systems that you have. And I mean, one that I'm particularly excited for is Adobe Firefly. And I know that you've gotten your hands on it, and I'm kind of jealous because I'm still on the wait list. Um, so I don't know how you beat me, but you beat me. So I mean, I know there's a lot of people that are wanting to hear about that. So what's your take on it? Is it coming from my job as a videographer or a video editor yet?
No, no. I tell you, it's a really cool tool. It's it still has to develop. There's a few really cool things that you can do with it. In respects to text creation, I think that's like one of the areas that I think is really awesome. Because there's a couple of areas in there where you can create different styles of text for whatever it is that you're trying to come up with. The image creation has, it's they're going down the same alley that Midjourney, Leonardo is. They have different their own styles. The one thing that I've noticed so far, and this is why I still go back to Midjourney, is that it's still, some of uh the filtering that you can do for your imagery, it still has a little bit of work to do. But again, it has to do with some of the prompting, and because I'm in the Discord channel for Adobe Firefly, and some of the stuff that people are creating there is like it's unreal. So again, it's about just getting good at it, being able to use the tool. I've just focused Mid Journey right now just because I've gotten familiar with it, and right now I'm just trying to learn one tool that I can maximize first before I start kind of becoming an expert on another one. But it's the where a lot of the stuff that Firefly has, it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to get into, and Adobe, they've been around forever, so you can pretty much guarantee that they're going to have this down packed pretty well.
No, definitely. And I mean, as a video and audio editor, right? Like I'm always looking for new tools to be able to enhance the output that I'm working with. And I gotta say, have you messed around with the Adobe Vocal Enhancer yet?
No, I have not.
So, as part of the upcoming Adobe podcast, I think is what it's going to be called. There was a piece of that tool that they unveiled a little bit early called Adobe Vocal Enhancer. Now, for some reason, when I first saw it and thought of it, I was like, I was using it on as the vocal enhancer that's already built into Adobe Premiere. I thought it was the same thing. I'm like, well, why are they going to have? I mean, it's probably going to be the same thing. And so I was editing a video for a client where they had sent me some footage, and for whatever reason, they decided to interview someone in front of a um, industrial size printer. So this guy's talking and like he's saying some really good stuff. And I was like, I mean, I can barely hear it, but he was saying some really good stuff. And I was like, oh, like I need to save this somehow. And so I applied the Adobe, like the vocal enhancer within Premiere, and it was like marginal. I was like, there's I've done a lot with audio editing, and I was like, there's nothing I can do to save this. Right. And I was like, I gotta try. I'm just gonna try this and see what it does, shot in the dark, whatever. I upload the audio file into the Adobe Vocal Enhancer, and like this will kind of tell you how scary that it can be of where this is headed. But it was able to probably get about 70 to 80% of his dialogue extracted from the noise of the industrial size printer that was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 yards away from him. So like I was like, wow. So I took that, layered that in, and I was like, all right, we got it.
Nice. It's awesome.
So I mean, for those of us audio editors out there, Adobe Vocal Enhancer, not sponsored, but
Yeah.
highly recommended. um, so I mean, I feel like that covers a lot of great areas that I feel like our audience space is going to be focused around in, right? So we covered the SEO side of things between Zimmwriter, Jasper, Chat GPT if you're really just kind of starting out, um, content at scale, things like that. Moving into kind of the graphics and visuals of Midjourney and Leonardo, and then from those of us video editors out there, Descript and Synthesia. Um, and I mean, again, seems like every day there's like something new coming out.
You know,
Um,
Matthew, I can't believe that we're sitting here talking about these tools, and there's one tool that I cannot believe we didn't bring up, and I'm sure everyone has heard of this tool, and that's Canva. Uh, Canva is like, you know, I love Canva, and their AI platform is really really good. You have to have a pro account, but their AI, their image creation, their AI writer. So if excuse me, so it definitely Canva is one that you really should look into for a lot of these things.
Oh yeah, create 60 Instagram posts in 45 seconds.
Yeah,
So
Canva's not playing around.
no, they are not. No, they are not. But no, so again, for those of you guys listening, again, there are so many tools out there, and we're really only just barely not even scratching the surface of
Yeah,
what's out there and available to you. But these are just some of the ones that we use. Most of them are pretty entry level as far as like ChatGPT, Midjourney. A lot of people have heard of those, but if you haven't, definitely encourage you to take the time, go check them out for yourself. Again, we are not affiliated or sponsored by any of these platforms or tools. These are just ones that we know, like, and use them in our day to day. So, again, take the time to check them out and mess around with them and become the AI powered marketing expert.
sir, that's right. Yeah, and then and I think once, and it's not going to take a whole lot before you realize as to the potential for these tools, right? So when you start playing around, and all it's going to take is just a little bit of creativity to start getting involved with some of this stuff, and your mind's going to be blown as to what you're going to be able to do. Because the one thing and that I think is really powerful is that a lot of times we may have the creation, the image in our minds, in our head as to what it is that we're trying to envision, but yet we cannot, for whatever reason it is, we just don't know how to verbalize it, write it down, or whatever, to where it trans, it materializes. And so whenever we start playing with some of these AI tools to be able to take that and really help materialize what we're looking for, you're just going to be blown away.
Oh yeah, and not to go too far down another rabbit hole because we can cover this in a different episode,
Yeah,
but I was messing around with ChatGPT yesterday, and I mean, another thing that I do is I'm also a screenwriter, right? So I write films, and one of the things that I'll sometimes struggle with in the pre-writing phase is coming up with the like the story points, right? So it's like I can maybe, I'm coming up with the idea, have point A, point B. I don't know point C, I don't know point D, but I know point E, F, G, H, all the way down. But for the life of me, I for like have that writer's block, that creative block of what comes in, whatever it was that I said, point CD, whatever. So it's like, so what I did was I was like, hey, I'm writing a book or I'm writing a screenplay and I've got plot points. I need you to create plot points between plot points. And then I gave the example of as like, 1, 2, X, Y, 5, 6. And I was like, if kind of giving it the mathematical example, the sequential example of I need you to come up with what fits in X, Y. And then I gave it, the points that I had. And then it gave me like two that were like, okay, like, I mean, at the point I'd already kind of come up with the story of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to just test Chat GPT to see if, hey, can it do this and how close is it going to get to what I have? And so it kind of took the story in a different direction than what I would have, but it was able to come up with some ideas that I was like, if I didn't already know where I was going with it, then that might actually be really good. So it gave me like the two plot points, and then it was like, alternatively, you could consider this, and then it gave me two more of those same plot point sequences, which is incredible as far as like the time save that's going to have for me in the future with future projects that I write.
yeah, I can imagine. I can just imagine. It's like it gives you the ability to basically connect all the dots without spending
Exactly.
so much time trying to figure out how do I connect them, you know?
Exactly. It's like Chat GPT, connect them for me.
Right.
Or give me ideas, because like at the end of the day, that's what I find that
Yep.
ChatGPT is best for, at least in the applications that I use it for, is maybe not coming up with the final format or the final anything, but giving me a little breadcrumb trail to start to
Yep.
follow and be like, okay, I know what I want to do with this.
Right.
But
Yep.
awesome, awesome. Well, already, guys. We're coming here to the end of this episode. We appreciate all of our awesome listeners out there for taking the time to jump on and hear about the exciting new developments and tools that you can use out there. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the in the comment section. And if you're not already following us or subscribe to us, be sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys know what to do. Thanks so much, Tony. It was great talking to everybody, and I will see you all in the next one.